Joo, antaa aplausit. Ei vielä.
Hyvää sunnuntaita kaikille!
Hyvää sunnuntaita.
Hienoa, että olette päässeet tänne tänään. Onks kuka kattaa Euroviisuja?
Mä boikotoin.
Mitä? Kuka kattaa Euroviisuja? Pari kattaa Euroviisuja, mutta vaan noin vähän kattaa Euroviisuja. Mä olin täällä töissä ja mä katsoin Euroviisuja ihan täysin.
Amazing.
Olisi viisaampi häipyyttää, että ei, päivää vasta alussa, te ette häipy myös mihinkään. Hyvää huomenta. Tervetuloa Maailma kylässä festivaalin toiselle päivälle. Mun nimi on näyttelijä CHTHONIC ja tässä mun vieressäni on ihastuttava juontaparini.
Toimittaja Zahra Karimi. Ja lämpimästi tervetuloa munkin puolesta teille kaikille, jotka olette tänään täällä Helsingin ydinkeskustassa ja että siellä striimin toisessa päässä kotona jossain. Ja tosiaan me ollaan Chiken kanssa teidän juontajina tänään täällä puhelavalla, jossa me kuullaan 8 upeaa keskustelua vapaudesta. Ja meillä on tosiaan vieraita muun muassa ainakin Keniasta, Taiwanista, Ukrainasta, Venezuelasta.
Ympäri maailmaa, koska me olemme Maailma kylässä festivaali. Eilen festarikävijöitä oli 13 000. Ehdottomasti.
Annetaan sille round of applause.
Ketkä on toista päivää täällä?
Ihanaa, kiitoksia.
Ihan mahtavaa.
Arvostamme.
Sää oli huikea. Porukalla oli hirveän hyvä meininki. On minusta tosi hienoa se, että ihmiset on päässyt paikalle nauttimaan kulttuurista, nauttimaan vapauden teemoista ja ennen kaikkea, että olette täällä tänään taas uudestaan. Ihana nähdä teitä.
Joo, tervetuloa vielä kerran lämpimästi teille kaikille, jotka olette tänään täällä ydinkeskustassa, että siellä streamin toisessa päässä.
Nyt hyvä fiiliksen. Maailma kylässä festivaali 2026, let's go! Ja näin pistetään sunnuntai käyntiin.
Kyllä vain. Ja koska seuraava ohjelma on englanniksi, I'll switch my language to English. Because the next program that's about to start is one of the most aspired programs of the Speaker Stage 2026. It opens up very concretely how authoritarian regimes are increasingly using digital tools for surveillance, control, manipulation, and to restrict people's freedoms. And most importantly, how artists and activists are responding to even extreme control in creative and courageous ways.
We'll be inviting a Taiwanese musician and the coolest diplomat I've ever had the pleasure to meet, Freddy Lim, on stage. After Freddy Lim, we'll have May on stage, who is a Myanmar-born artist and filmmaker based in Europe. Through their work and personal experience, they explore what freedom looks like in today's world, and why defending democracy is extremely important, and defending open societies concerns all of us. The program will start with an extremely cool video from the Megaport Festival.
When we saw that on the rehearsal, I'm still amazed by that video.
Let's watch the video from the Megaport Festival from Taiwan from last year. All right,
Yes.
hit it!
Thank you.
Yeah, that's me. Don't expect me to take my shirt off and screaming here. Yeah. Actually, today I'm here to share the journey of how Taiwan became the free and vibrant Taiwan we know, and to talk about the challenges and threats Taiwan faces now, and to remind us all that this is not a fight Taiwan carries alone. This is a global fight, and we must stand together to preserve our freedom and to stand with the people who share these values with us. So, what was Taiwan like before democracy? From 1949 to 1987, Taiwan endured a 38-year martial law period, one of the longest in human history. So imagine, what if the song we just played at the beginning had been released back in that era? What would have been the cost? Back then, all publications required government approvals. So if you published anything without a permit, you got punished. And that song is in Taiwanese, our native language. So its broadcast would be restricted. And if the song is deemed dangerous, subversive by the government, that song would be banned. And the songwriter, me, would be thrown into prison. And the performers would lose their licenses. And the promoter will be arrested. And some of you might know that actually that song, Takao, was released by Universal Finland. Yeah, my band was under Universal Finland for years. So if it had happened during the martial law era, the people in charge here in Finland would have been monitored or even harassed by authoritarian agents. And if they have friends or families in Taiwan, those loved ones would have faced surveillance or even house arrest. For dictators, it's not only political dissidents who are threats. Controlling information is also very crucial. They know that art can empower people, can carry strong messages. So they suppress artists and artworks. These are some images about those activists and artists back from that era. They are not all political dissidents. This painter, Dan Xingpo, he tried to mediate with the government to stop an uprising, but he was still executed. And this newspaper shows a singer who was detained and banned for 1 year, just because a joke he made on stage was deemed by the government unsuitable. And these images, a comic and a cassette, they were deemed dangerous. For artworks like these, they faced troubles or they were even thrown into prison. But we fought back. After decades of fighting for freedom, a struggle in which many artists took part, Taiwan became a democracy in the 90s. So artists spoke the untold, or they took action in their own ways. They made albums, concerts, movies, other forms of art. So in 1992, Taiwan had our first general parliamentary election, followed by our first presidential election in 1996. And ever since, we kept improving ourselves. Today, Taiwan's democracy is consistently ranked #1 in Asia and considered a beacon of freedom in our region. For example, in 2019, Taiwan became the first Asian country to legalize same-sex marriage. And our leadership reflects this vibrancy. Throughout recent years, we have singers, actors, actresses, cosplayers, other forms, other kinds of artists, and of course activists in our parliament and government. And now, you even have a metalhead serving as ambassador here in Finland. This is me, with Korpiklani, earlier, here in a Finland-Taiwan cultural event. But the story doesn't end here. Because just like Finland, we have a massive expansionist authoritarian neighbor. China threatens us with its increasing military power and so-called gray zone tactics, such as sabotaging our undersea cables, very much like what Finland has encountered recently. But what I want to emphasize today is an even more tricky challenge: cognitive warfare. China has industrialized information manipulation. They use the most advanced tools for persuasion across the internet and mass media, just like the post on the slide. They use a constant flow of simple stories to whisper, democracy isn't working, trying to reshape Taiwanese people's minds, to polarize our society. And this image even shows how they hacked into the screens of our supermarkets. To be honest, it's relatively straightforward to plan for territorial defense, but it's far more complex to counter the forces that erode our democracy from within. So now it's not only our government taking on this challenge. Our NGOs have also worked closely together to confront it. Some of them, they develop tools for real-time fact-checking, and some of them monitor information flows, and some of them connect local communities to strengthen media literacy, and many others take on various critical roles. And more importantly, they collapsed globally because, as we have learned, this is a global challenge. Reports consistently show how China wages information warfare globally, ranging from the countries in our region, such as the Philippines and India, to those right here in Europe, like Lithuania and the Czech Republic. And the most recent report about Japan's earlier election this year shows that there were a series of disinformation attacks targeting those candidates unfavorable to Beijing. We only learned the truth because those operations accidentally leaked their origins by using the Chinese pinyin system to spell the Japanese names. And furthermore, OpenAI just exposed how China is leveraging large language models to scale their disinformation attacks globally. And I don't need to remind you that there is a clear alignment between China and other authoritarian states like Russia, North Korea, Myanmar, even in the information domain. So, what we are witnessing now is an erosion of democracy across the globe. My dear friends, I know this is an unpredictable time, and the world is volatile. But the answer to not relying too much on one big power is not to lean toward another, especially not a dictator who is fueling other dictators around the world. I believe the answer is for smaller democracies like Taiwan and Finland to strongly work together. Because the more we learn from one another, the better each of us can cope with the threat from our malicious authoritarian neighbors. And I believe the answer is for the people who share the values of freedom to stand firm together, to stand with the people who are oppressed, not the oppressors. Now, in our time, I think we can avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. We can set a better example. And together we can build a more promising future. So I would like to introduce someone to join the stage. Someone who knows the cost of the fight firsthand. Someone who is suffering yet resisting along with her people under the oppression of a Chinese-backed authoritarian regime. She is a Burmese artist and video filmmaker, May. And let's watch a short video co-produced by May. She will take it from here later. Thank you.
I am May. I'm a filmmaker and artist from Myanmar. The greatest challenge for being an artist in my country is simply struggling to tell the truth. The video you just saw is from a short film we co-produced in 2021. And it features footages from my fellow filmmakers who must remain anonymous for their safety. Even though I'm now outside of Myanmar, I still have to remain hiding my identity, like today. So in the video, you see people are hitting pots and pans. It is traditional rituals of driving the evil spirits out. And you see three-finger sign. It is the symbol of defiance against the authoritarianism. I'm here today to tell you how Myanmar people have endured the oppression against the authoritarianism and military regime over the decades, which has been enabled by the powerful neighbor like China. Since the military coup, art has become a crime. Murals are painted over within a few days. Canvases are seized, films are banned, news are blocked, and those who made them are arrested or killed or tortured, and some forced to flee. 6 poets were killed during the first 2 years only in 2021, and some were shot dead on the roads. This is a place where a poet was shot dead in March 2021 for taking part in the peaceful demonstration. We just heard from Freddy how the journey of Taiwan from the silence of martial law to the freedom to sing in your own languages, to the parliament that includes artists and activists. During the fragile opening of Myanmar from 2010 to 2021, artists began to breathe. Filmmakers made films that tell the truth. Painters put dissent on the gallery walls. Poets and writers recite about the oppression in public freely. Journalists portray about ethnic minorities that had been invisible for decades. We thought these are not reversible. It was not. What Taiwan shows us is that the journey from the autocracy to democracy is possible. But what Myanmar shows us is that it is not guaranteed unless the roots of the dictatorship are entirely eradicated. Myanmar has experienced one of the longest and most severe internet shutdowns in the world. Information was one of the four cuts doctrine the military junta has used, cutting food, funds, information, and recruitment. This is not just about cutting communication. It is about erasing the witnesses. When there are no cameras, there is no record. When there's no record, there is no accountability. As part of its Belt and Road initiative, China also promoted its digital Silk Road, exporting surveillance technology, data laws, and cyber governance models to the authoritarian regimes along the route, including Myanmar, where the military junta adopted the key elements of China's digital control infrastructure. The military then installed facial recognition CCTVs on the streets, checked phones with the monitoring system that enables authorities to cross-check national registration numbers against the criminal record at hotels, ticketing counters, checkpoints. More arrests and severe penalties have arisen over the last 4 years. Even posting a picture of a rose on a social media for a peaceful campaign can lead to you to get arrested within few hours. So with all this support and backups from China, India, Russia, North Korea, all these authoritarian regimes, in January 2026, the junta had made sham elections. By April, the top general had announced himself as a president. The generals called it democracy, and China congratulated them. But for Myanmar people, this is just the latest mask worn by the military junta, the mask dripping blood of its own people. So what stories are those trying to tell us? They were not about building a government. They were about producing an image, the image of legitimacy. This is what authoritarians deeply understand. Power is not only exercised through force, it is also exercised through narratives. And that is why artists, activists, filmmakers, journalists are the first ones the genre came for, because we are the ones who built counter-narratives, the murals, underground films, poetry. Passing through the phone screens are not decorations. These are archive of a people's truth. This is my friend, a filmmaker, arrested while filming in 2023, targeted by surveillance and broken by the interrogation. He was severely tortured during the interrogation and didn't get medical treatment he desperately needed in the prison. And they sent him to the hospital only 2 days before he died. But his leg is still tied to the hospital bed. He died because he chose to tell the truth. So the generals continue to make airstrikes and internet shutdowns. 94% of all the airstrike deaths in the last 3 months occurred in the areas without internet. The junta made over 400 airstrikes within the last 3 months from January to March, killing nearly 800 people, including women and children. What is happening in Myanmar, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Uyghur regions, and the tactics recently used in some European countries, like Freddy mentioned, these are not separate crises. It is from the same ecosystem in the use of economic leverage, political interference, surveillance system, cultural erasure, to reshape what free societies are allowed to say, show, and remember. Here in Finland, for a country that what is it to live next to a powerful neighbor? Finland has built its sovereignty, press freedom, cultural identity with the full knowledge that these things require active defense. I'm asking of you today not a pity. I'm asking you to witness, to see what is being erased, to name it. I'm asking you to refuse the history version that from the dictators and their backers are trying to sell. Because we do not give up. We will continue to create films, murals, painting. We know how to live and create under the weight of repression. We will continue to fight against the authoritarians. And this fight is only stronger if you join us. This three-finger symbol started with a single illustrator, but it became a movement when others joined by adding their artwork into the symbol. If images outlast armies, then so do the people who carry them. By saying that, I would like to invite Freddy back to the stage to join me, to join you, to stand with these three fingers for the countries, Taiwan, Myanmar, and other countries and people who are resisting around the world.
Please raise your hand. Yeah, and show us your signs.
Solidarity.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
much. Thank you. And we will see you outside. You have further more discussions and questions. Yeah, let's talk outside. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.